Happy new moon. It's January 11th, Thursday, and it's in Capricorn. The new moon occurs exactly at 3:57 a.m. Pacific time, so it has already occurred since. And the theme for this new moon is reality checks. Okay. Before the whole article by Sarah Faith Gottesdiener, the Many Moons Planner author, today's note says, Happy New Moon. This week, create new patterns that write better stories about who you are, your life, and what you can do. Give yourself permission to live in a different way. Quote, if my devils are to leave me, I am afraid my angels will take flight as well. Not all new moons feel sparkling new or are a reset. Some of them teach us new ways of being with the old, the difficult, the impossible. Within this alchemical process, acceptance is a crucial step, creating space for insight, for eventual ways forward. Part of the struggle might come from buckling under the expectations of others or the expectations you've created for yourself, based on unrealistic or harmful internalizations. The audience in your head sneakily distorts the truth with judgments disguised as facts. An audience, especially in this digital age, expects both perfectionism and authenticity simultaneously, which is impossible. Choose authenticity. I began this year's edition unsettled. Usually I go away to nature alone and conduct a ritual to initiate the channeling I do. The pines whisper roadmaps and the birds chirp with the fervor of 1,000,000 rememberings. The endless Joshua tree sky affirms the splendor of infinite space, play, and the field of many moons becomes an embrace of the visions unfolding all around us. This year, financial constraints and chronic illness and intuition told me to stay put. While beginning this edition, close to dogs, bed, and frugality, and all of the comforts of home. Usually, I am grounded, clear, available. This year, I felt almost too messy to be a steward of such sacredness for so many. My identity is a compost heap, I've joked multiple times. No amount of Pima Chodron quotes could address the quandary of the groundlessness within, though they certainly could describe it with precision. I sit down to share and write this entry with you, sweet human, as another human in a period of transition, not yet able to fully let go of one way of being, not yet sure enough of the next direction to stomp toward it with certainty. I'm still trying on certain ideas and identities, then casting them off because they aren't quite right, like a grown-ass version of Goldilocks, still wobbly like the knees of a 3-hour-old deer. Embodying uncertainty and then understanding there is no need to know, then releasing that need, has done wonders for the ego and the nervous system. Not so much for my confidence and motivation. Just surrender, just let go, I repeat to myself. An unchanging identity is a myth. There is no safety in fixedness. Security is an illusion. Reinvention is only one decision, one afternoon, one inhale away. The practice of hope, the embodiment of humor as a discipline, alongside ritual and magic, has begun to buoy my spirits after a vast gray winter. Might as well enjoy the ride, might as well love myself, clear my energetic field, make art, rewire ancestral trauma, experiment, and be kinder as a pathway reveals itself. You can speak to God any way you like in any state you are in. I remind myself on early morning walks, dog leashes jangling the pace. She'll answer back. She isn't fussy about compost heaps. She is the compost heaps. She is the compost heaps. And so, as a compost heap, I ask God if it's okay that I don't completely feel as intact and developed as a vessel just yet. And they answer, sometimes the vessel has to break and be put back together in another way. Sometimes the vessel is uncertainty, restlessness, in what you might call imperfection. Remember that the vessels that will not hold are fear, shame, and abuse. Maybe your new carriers are being built by you now, in your soft and raw state. Compost heaps are fertile, miraculous, engaged in the cycle of life. You, gentle reader, are in a gray winter under the first new moon of this year. Maybe you find yourself in a similar space that I describe as one part compost heap, one part dreamer, with a still alive pulse. Last year was a lot. This next year will be too. You may still need a bit more time and space to process the old so that you may continue to step forward into the new, into the weird, wild new. How will you recover? How will you continue to grow? How will you stay with yourself through ambiguity and ambivalence? May you let go as necessary and stay wide and deep enough to hold it all. This new moon is at the bending of the nodes, the halfway point of the eclipse points. The eclipse points signify collective themes of transformation. The Aries-Libra axis is about fighting for justice, new generations leading the way, different relational dynamics that take everyone into account. This is the spectrum of me to we. The halfway point is also known as a crisis point, which is yet another reminder that we can't go on in the same ways we have been. Change has to happen on the somatic level. Our defense mechanisms must be rewired. Egos checked at the door. The moon is besieged between Saturn and Mars, sandwiched between planets that signify limits, harsh truths, blocks, sever, and action taking. There could be the impulse to make decisions from a scarce, tired place, to wrap yourself around the bones of what could never be, instead of opening to what could emerge once the last branch has been thrown onto the fire. You may want to communicate something about yourself, but not have words or proof yet, so it's easy to get lost in the past. You might want to go somewhere or make certain moves, but not be able to due to finances, health, or other obligations or contracts. You might finally be able to make some desire or need crystal clear, but have no idea how to materialize it. Maladaptive coping mechanisms may seem especially seductive, monsters dressed up in shiny clothing. In crisis, or when we are compromised, what are the practices that are most useful and supportive? They are almost never the ones that we grasp for in urgency, in fear, in confusion. Remember, you can't find a resolution while in the same energy of the problem. Often, it is when we are depressed, in shock, or aren't meeting some expectation of ourselves that we stop the practices that bring us into more equilibrium. Lean on your toes now. If possible, do something ridiculous or absurd, something that transforms the narrative of who you are and what you are capable of. This new moon could feel more like an end, which of course precede beginnings. Pluto is at an anaretic degree. The planet of excavation prepares to move on. There are endings that have to be implemented. What are they? Use this new moon for reality checks. Reality becomes more broad, more elastic, more specific by the minute. There are dreams that haven't died. There are messages that still hum in the background. There are seeds buried under the ground that will turn green in mere weeks. There are versions of yourself still waiting to be birthed and experienced. Do not use the dull version of someone else's reality as a template for your own. Admit where you are confused or uncomfortable, and love yourself anyway. Let what needs to die compost. You'll be in good company. The moon told me so. Happy new moon.